The following podcast is by Mr. Jim Koewler, elder law and special needs attorney, helping and protecting those who need long-term care. And welcome everyone to Answers for Elders Radio. And we're here obviously with a very special guest. And one of the things that I am so excited about this guest is because so many of our families are trying to figure out, especially at the end of a pandemic, of seeing our parents maybe decline, not really knowing how to intercede or how to help. And we talk a lot about the healthcare side, but one of the things that we know is that elder care is interconnected. There's financial concerns, there's healthcare concerns, there's all different types of decisions that have to be made. And one of the biggest decisions when you're taking care of a loved one is the legal side. There's all kinds of dynamics in preparing for that. And so that's why I'm really, really excited to have this guest with us, Mr. Jim Koewler, who is an elder law attorney. And Jim is from just right outside of Cleveland, Ohio. And Jim, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Suzanne. Glad to be here.
Well, I'm glad you're here too. And before we're going to get into a lot of topics together and understanding, what you do and how you do it. And before we get into all these topics, tell us, really a little bit about who is Jim Koewler?
Okay, Jim Koewler is a reformed environmental attorney. I used to help companies, many of them small, deal with clean air, clean water, things like that. I really liked that they were better citizens of the community when I was done. And then after a time, I kind of lost interest in that because the government lost interest in enforcing those laws.
Right.
So about that same time, my law firm and I had a big falling out over a development that was going to come into my area, and they wanted to represent the developer. It was going to be right on my street. No, we got a problem. So my law firm and I broke apart. And also at about that time, kind of a perfect storm thing, my wife's grandfather, who had Alzheimer's, forgot that walker next to his chair was for him. He had this hip thing going on in addition to the Alzheimer's. We never did figure out the hip thing, but he was not stable on his feet. So he tried to get up without the walker, crumpled to the floor, and his wife couldn't keep him home anymore. We called him Papa, she was Nana. So when Nana had to put Papa into a nursing home because she could not carry him into the shower, etc., an elder law attorney helped them. This is over in Boardman, Ohio, outside Youngstown, where Bernie Kosar is from, for all you football fans. And the elder law attorney, he's not even practicing anymore, but the relief that I saw them feel, knowing that Nana wasn't going to be broke, knowing that they had some help, I wanted to bring that to people.
Jim, it's so important because I sometimes think families think I can figure it out on my own. And they kind of think that legal help is just like too expensive. There's this idea in people's head that I don't need a lawyer. I don't need an attorney. And yet I will tell you, your elder law attorney can be your greatest asset in helping to navigate senior care. And to the point where, I've seen right now, so many seniors right now coming out of the pandemic, they're going, the money that they should have had to private pay for themselves during the time of the pandemic, they've ended up spending, still being at home in their homes, and their home, repairs have gone, sideways and all these things. And proper money management may not be very effective at this point. And so I look at, basically thinking to myself, how is somebody going to be helped at this point? And it's a huge, overwhelming situation. Are you seeing that a lot right now?
I'm not really seeing it much different right now than it was before.
Okay. So it's still the same.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. It is easier to stay on Medicaid now than it was before. And it's a little easier to get on Medicaid because they've had to take people's word for things that I'm a citizen, etc. That's going to come to an end. But financial eligibility, that hasn't changed.
Okay. Okay.
And the lack of ability to pay for long-term care, private pay
Hmm.
has not changed. In fact, I
Hmm.
think that's going to has gotten a little worse, and it's going to get a lot worse, because
Yeah.
during the pandemic, no one wanted to move into a nursing home or assisted
No.
living because they were afraid they were moving right into the teeth of pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah.
So a lot of people stayed home when they otherwise might not have stayed home.
Sure.
So nursing homes and assisted livings had more vacancies than they are used to. Um, so they're hurting. So
Hmm.
they're going to be looking to recoup that money back to stay in
Right.
business.
Right. So you got into elder law basically off of a personal story,
Yes,
clearly. How long have you been practicing?
since 2007.
Wow.
Practicing elder law since
Yeah,
2007.
elder law.
Practicing attorney since 1987.
Okay. Okay. So you were really in a whole other field for a long time before
Yeah,
you.
you would think that it was very different, but they're both run by bureaucrats. They both
Yeah.
have a set of rules that is mostly made by government agencies rather than by legislatures, and very little of it is made by court. So there is some similarities.
Hmm.
I've got an undergraduate degree in chemistry, so I said that helped me speak geek, and that helped me with environmental law.
Perfect.
And then environmental law taught me to speak bureaucrat, and that now
Right.
helps me in elder law.
Right. Right. And so, to define elder law, we're going to do a whole segment on that coming up in this time period. But I really want to talk about specifically what was the driving force that got you into it besides your own personal story?
Um, well, I was looking for something to do because of the breakup with my law firm
Uh-huh.
and my, I guess, pseudo breakup, you'd call it, with environmental law. It just wasn't interesting anymore. My
Hmm.
clients asked me to just get me more time, just get me more time. That wasn't very rewarding. Yes, I got
Right.
paid, but it wasn't emotionally rewarding. And oddly enough, it was my mother-in-law who says, "Hey, you ought to do what this attorney did for
Sure.
Nana and Papa. This is Nana and Papa's daughter, my mother-in-law."
Hmm.
Um, so, and about that same time, the federal laws had a big change. So there were lots of seminars out there, and so I attended one. And as luck would have it, the national conference for the National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, it's a national organization of lawyers like me, happened to be in Cleveland, just up the road from me that same year. So,
Wow.
so I had opportunities to learn the new laws. I understand from the people who are still around that about a third of my would-be competitors left at that time because they said, "No, I'm not doing this, too hard. I'm out of here."
It is
And I
hard.
never really knew it any other way than the way it is now. So
Hmm.
that's fine. Um, I just wanted to offer something that would help people, that really impacted them in a way that was important.
Hmm.
Money, yeah, money's important until your health is at stake, and now money's not nearly so important.
No.
I want to help people the way I would want my grandmother treated,
Yes.
and that really
And
became my driving
sadly,
force.
sadly, in many cases, that's not the case. You hear stories. But I also know that there's so many statistics out there right now. Um, One just blew my mind of not too long ago talking to Genworth Financial, and they have did a study saying right now that there's where there before it was like 60 million people were a family caregiver, quote unquote, taking care of a senior loved one. Well, now family caregivers are taking care of people that have contacted COVID, and they may be no longer what's the word? Anyway,
Able?
what's the word I want? Anyway,
I'm guessing the word you want is no longer able.
yeah, or just they're still recovering, but you're not going to get the disease, right? And so right now, the new statistics are 100 million Americans today are caring for a loved one.
And as far as I'm concerned, the unpaid family caregiver is the single hardest job in the world.
Yes, it is. And they need support like an elder law attorney and like someone like you, because there's so many things that they get thrust with, like, for example, documentation, having to sign documents on behalf of their loved one, going to the bank and making sure that you're signing properly on documents. You have the proper documentation to protect your own self. And there's a whole other side of the estate planning piece, but there's also a liability, could be a liability, if you don't do it in the right way. And so these are the things that I'm really excited about to talk. And you mentioned something about National Academy of Elder Law Attorneys, which is NALA.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit, that's like the governing association, is it not?
It's not so much governing as a trade association.
Okay.
It's guidance.
Right.
Each of us is governed by our own state attorney, our state Supreme Courts.
Okay.
So my license comes from them. This isn't like FINRA for financial advisors.
Got it.
But NALA is guidance, education, input, and just frankly, camaraderie. I can reach out to elder law attorneys anywhere in the country and put a question up on a listserv or something like that. And just say, hey, what's going on with such and so? Now, elder law, the laws are different in each state. Unlike Medicare, Medicaid is very state specific. So I don't have to reach across state lines very often, but NALA sure has helped me meet people in Ohio that I can turn to for help.
Well, and I just called you not too long ago. Do you know anybody in Texas? So there you go. It happens. Right. We go for that. So obviously you're in Ohio.
Somebody in North Carolina.
Yeah. So you're in Ohio. Obviously, for any of our listeners that are in Ohio, how do we reach you?
You can reach me through my email, which is james@protectingseniors.com, or there will be one on my page in Answers for Elders, which is very Answers for Elders specific, that allows me to track where traffic is coming from.
Perfect. And then if you're outside of the state of Ohio, how do you get a hold of a good elder law attorney?
Okay, my suggestion is go to NAELA, NAELA.org. There's a Find a Lawyer button there. Click on that. Put in the zip code. Zip code seems to work best. If you put in a city, you'll get 2 or 3 right in that city. Zip code will give you people around it. So put in the zip code. That'll give you a list of members. Now, the members may not do what you're looking for, so go look at their individual websites to see that they do what it is you want.
Perfect. Well, and we're going to have several segments coming up. So thank you, Jim. We're so excited you're part of our team and part of Answers for Elders.
Thank you, Suzanne. Glad to be here.
State of Ohio residents, you have a friend to help you navigate long-term care while protecting your assets. You can reach Jim at www.protectingseniors.com or just email him at jkoewler-afe, that's jkoewler, AFE, at protectingseniors.com.